All right. Hey, so we've got a nice cold golden monkey there. You mind cracking that for us real quick?
Oh yeah, I'd love to.
Actually, this video is going to be you chugging the whole thing, so surprise.
That's my kind of interview. Oh, nice little pop. It all started back in 1992. I was on my honeymoon with my lovely wife, and I dragged her through Belgium because we both loved beer at that point. When we were in the lovely town of Bruges, I wanted, of course, to visit one of the breweries, and so we called over to the Golden Tree Brewery. I think it's pronounced Golden Boom in Flemish. And we tried to get a tour of the brewery, and the nice man that answered said that was not going to be possible unless we had a group of 25. And I explained to him that I was a brewmaster from the United States, and that I was so interested in his beer, I wanted to learn more about it. Well, he was a little bit slow to come around to my side of things, and he offered us eventually to come over, my wife and I, and get a private tour with him. I think it was like at 5:30 in the evening. So we get there about 5:30. He answers the door. His name was Paul Van Esta, great guy, as the story will show. And he was the brewery owner, and he seemed like he might not be so interested in spending a lot of time with us because he was a busy guy, of course, and we were coming at 5:30. But he was very gracious and began to show us around the brewery. And one of the things that was really amazing about the brewery was it had a square mash tun and had a window into the boiling kettle. And so it was a very odd brewery, very interesting, a lot different than anything I had ever seen in Germany or the United States, as are most Belgian breweries. They're quite different. After about a half an hour talking, he realized that I really was into the art of brewing, and I wasn't one of those brewers that came in and were going to think that the way he did things in Belgium were crazy and that there's ways to save money or make beer cheaper or faster. He realized that I really did love the art of the beer. And so what we thought was going to be a half an hour short tour ended up being about an hour and a half tour plus another hour of drinking beers with Paul from the Golden Tree Brewery in Bruges. So at the end of our meeting, he wished us a great marriage and on our honeymoon, the rest of our journey. And he gave us 2 magnums of their Bruges Tripel, a wonderful triple that unfortunately is not made anymore, but a wonderful triple. And we ended up drinking one of those on our honeymoon. We simply loved it. And then fast forward about a year and a half later, about 2 years later, we were expecting our first child. And Alyssa was born in October of 1994. And we celebrated by cracking open the second bottle that he had given us 2 years earlier. So that was really a wonderful thing after the birth. My wife was ready for a good beer, a good solid beer. A Magnum was plenty of beer to drink, even if she let me have some. And so that was great. So then we thought it went so great that when she was pregnant again and we were going to have our second child in December of '95, I went out to the liquor store and I found one of those bottles and I bought it and brought it home, and we celebrated with that. Of course, by that time I was working at Old Dominion Brewing, and we also had some other great beers, but we didn't have a triple. So that was great, and we'd sort of now created this tradition of ours. So if we were going to have any more kids, we had to figure out, we need to get some Bruges Triple. Well, along comes number 3 in April of '97 expected, and meanwhile that brewery that we love, the Golden Tree, had closed and had stopped making Bruges Triple. And so this presented an issue for me, a very good issue, because I needed to find some Bruges Triple. I knew I wasn't going to find any Bruges Triple, so having a brewery called Victory, I thought, hey, why don't we make our own Bruges Triple? We'll call it some fanciful name, and that'll be our triple, and maybe we'll sell a few hundred cases. At least I'll have something to celebrate when my third is born. And so he was born in April, and the beer, I think, was released sometime in March of '97. 2007, and it was very popular. It was extremely popular immediately, and so we realized that we were onto something with this Golden Monkey. And that brings up the whole story. Where did it ever get the name Golden Monkey? And my partner typically will take a look at the beers that we make or we're considering making and apply some really good creativity and come up with a great name to fit that beer. This was in the case of this beer was that he wanted to use that name for a while, and we were actually waiting for the right beer to call Golden Monkey, and this was an obvious one, a Bruges Tripel style beer, a Belgian Tripel style beer that is going to be, pretty perfect. And over the years, it's gone from being a darn good beer to close to perfect, although as a brewmaster always says, no beer is perfect. It can always be improved upon. But we constantly do that, and over the last close to 20 years, we've made many changes to the Golden Monkey recipe. We changed yeasts about 10 years ago. No, actually, it was more like 7 years ago. We changed different temperatures. We changed different rates of oxygenation. And we did all kinds of other parameter changes with the fermentation until we found just the right balance of fruity esters and dryness. And that's what we have today, and it really hasn't changed much in the last 4 or 5 years.
Cool. Hey, cheers to that. That's
cheers.
Amazing. Thank you.